Now, David Cameron's problem with women voters won't have been helped at all by today's unemployment figures. The number of women out of work is now at its highest for almost a quarter of a century. It's past the million mark, and the rate of job losses among women is rising faster than among men. In a minute, John's interview with the Business Secretary, Vince Cable. But first, our social affairs editor, Jackie Long, has been to the North East for this special report from the area struggling with the highest unemployment in Britain.
Facing up to a new reality. With a master's degree and years of experience as a well-paid, highly skilled civil servant, Suzanne Murray has lost her job, but is doing everything she can to stay in work.
Well, it's been a big change. I had to move out of the flat that I owned and rent it and move back in with my parents.
Suzanne was one of 400 people made redundant when the government closed the Regional Development Agency here. Her job was to advise and encourage new businesses to the area, bringing with them new work. She knew the landscape well enough to know her own chances of finding a new job were not good.
Everyone is applying for the same job, so you've got maybe 10 or 12 really highly qualified people going for every job, and if there's only one or two jobs going, then you've still got a massive number that aren't getting anything.
So Suzanne has done exactly what the government wants out-of-work women to do. Unleash their potential, start their own business. But plans for a cafe were quickly downsized to this van. She only managed to get a small start-up grant and struggled for months to get a loan from the bank. She says she's tired of government rhetoric on unemployment, which focuses more on those who don't want to work and not enough on those who do.
There'd be far more people who are genuinely out there trying hard to get back into work and really want to have that work, and they don't want to be sitting at home, they don't want to be relying on the state. There's no sort of self-esteem in doing that. They want to be out there working.
And when you see David Cameron and Nick Clegg, I mean, what are your thoughts with the message that they, to your mind, keep sending out?
Well, to be honest, I just keep thinking, you don't know what you're talking about, shut up. Come see what it's actually like.
And it's in the old coal mining towns of the North East that the picture is particularly bleak. Here, regeneration became an industry in itself. Trading on the past, a way of creating a new future. The old Woodhorn Colliery near Ashington is now a museum, home to the world-famous Ashington Group collection. Paintings done by the pitmen themselves, proof they could do something outside of the mines. But it was the women who stepped into many of the new jobs brought to the area when mining ended here. Textiles and light engineering, the service industry and so-called soft-skilled work. The pit wheels which once dominated this landscape are now nothing more than historical monuments. But when the pits closed, the public sector moved in. It now accounts for a massive 50% of the jobs here, many of them taken by women, which is why this time round, so many women are feeling the pain.
And do you want to do this smiley face?
Yep. Michelle Pattinson is keen to make sure her son has all the skills he needs to get on in life.
Good lad, well done.
She used to work with unemployed adults who could barely read or write. Her job to help them into work. The public sector funding for the project ended, and now she's out of work herself.
I do know of people who don't work and have always chosen not to, and whilst that might be for them, it's not for me, and I don't want my children growing up thinking that that's the way that you behave. I suppose I find it really demeaning and very degrading going at the benefits office. I feel kind of worthless and I feel like I've got nothing to offer, so quite often I come out of there feeling really bad, virtually in tears, because I feel like I'm not treated as another kind of equal human being.
With Lucas just past his 5th birthday, Michelle falls right into the government's sights.
I'm going to do the pasta. Yep.
A key plank of its employment policy is insisting single mothers like her look to go back to work. Well, she says she's looking.
I'm applying for jobs that I don't really want to do, jobs that I kind of wouldn't really like to do. I applied for a job in a funeral parlour recently because it was a part-time post, the money was decent, it was local. I don't think for a minute I could cope in that environment, but I applied for it because I kind of feel that I have to be at work, Even like the local supermarket, I applied for a job there and was rejected from it, and that kind of left me thinking, well, why? Why am I not getting a job like that I know I can do, and it's frustrating, it's really, really sad.
The answer lies simply in the numbers. Unemployment across the North East already stands at 11.6%. That's the highest in the country. Here in Northumberland, the public sector has cut 1,300 jobs in the last year, 90% of them women's.
If you look at where jobs are being lost in the public sector, the majority of them are being lost to women rather than to men. And we know that actually the public sector overall, as a major sector in the economy, employs more women than men, which is quite unusual. So we're seeing female unemployment as a result of that. And that's actually something that we can expect to get worse over time. We haven't yet seen the peak of public sector job cuts.
And that grim forecast could not be worse news in an area where already 9 people are chasing every job. Sue Mackay has withstood the worst of economic downturns before. In 43 years, she's never been out of work, till now. The flood of people coming onto the job market every week makes her fearful that her last job as an administrator will be just that, her last job.
6 months ago, I thought I might be unemployed for a couple of months, but I'm just not getting anywhere. Every job you go for, there are so many applicants. They're spoilt for choice, almost, the employers.
Sue has applied for 96 jobs in the last 6 months, all the while claiming job seekers allowance. After 6 months, JSA is means tested, and her savings of just over £16,000 take her above the threshold for help. She's now not eligible for any benefits and must live on the money she saved for her retirement, 3 years away.
I don't think the government, the system, is helping me at all. They're just not interested in me. I think they've cast me aside now. Go away and live on your savings and don't bother us anymore. So I've become an invisible woman, really.
At 59, she's determined to keep trying, but she's fighting the feeling that it all may just be a waste of time.
I feel I'm trying to stay positive and I'm still applying for jobs, but the older I get and the further away I move from the job scene, I'm beginning to wonder whether I have another 3 years to go before I can retire, and I'm beginning to wonder whether I'll work again. I hope I do.
With more women joining the ranks of the long-term unemployed, and with cuts to services affecting their families, many feel battered on all fronts. The government knows and fears growing disillusionment among women voters. It's announced a Women's Business Council, but it knows it will take very much more than that.
Jackie Long with that special report.